What is up, guys? We are live here at Pro Play Games once again with Peter Cattani. Set 9, super exciting. We have a new archetype, new deck that really got love from Bandai. Finally, what is it?
It's not new though.
It's Android it finally
15.
got love.
It finally playable.
It's finally, there we go. Exactly.
It came out set 2, but like it wasn't that good. That's just the truth. It was like too much gimmicks to try to make it work. Now with one card, the deck is 100% playable, and it's Android 13. So its permanent is if you have Android 14 and 15 in the drop area, you can awaken with 6 life. Even with just awaken at 6 life, that was difficult back then. Now it's pretty easy. When it awakens, you draw 2 cards. Cool. Then on the flip side, auto, when it swings, draw a card. Awesome. Also, if a battle card that is 6 or lower goes to the drop area by a skill. So if you discard it, if you crit life, if you just destroy it on the field, goes to the drop area by a skill, he gains critical for the turn. Kind of cool.
Yeah.
Kind of cool. It's not bad.
Critical
but
it's
situational at times. But 6 or less, there's a bunch of cards out there, 6 or less. So he gets his effects. But now onto the deck, we play 3. What is this? Cells Earth Destroying Kamehameha. It's beautiful. It's not bad. Active Battle. If your leader is green, choose a leader or battle card, gains 15,000. Awesome. But if all your energy is green, not mono green, so you can have multicolor energy also. But if all of it's green, your opponent chooses 1 card from their hand and discard it. So let's say you swing for 15, draw a card, then you play this. He gains 15, that's 30, and if they discard a battle card that's 6 or less, then he gains critical. So 30
in
critical.
In the middle of combat.
It's pretty
fancy.
Very fancy. And defense 15 for 1. We like these cards. So definitely we're playing 3. I'm playing 2 Focus Breakthrough. I don't know why. But in certain situations, this card is pretty good. If you have multicolor energy, that I found out. If you have multicolor energy in your energy, then you can use your life, take a card from your life and do it for no cost. Awesome. But you need multicolor energy, so...
And 4 or less life.
4 or less is that part. The multicolor part of taking life, it's the multi part, right? Right? And if you... So, that's kind of cool. It's pretty cool. Yeah. But, situational, it's good. When it's good, it's amazing. When it's dead in the hand, it's charge bait. Not bad. Next is 4... Shocking Death Ball, because it's Shocking Death Ball. You need to have your negates. They're very important. And back then I used to like only 3 negates. Now we're in this. Now the game has evolved that at least gotta have 4. And honestly, it's probably one of my favorite negates.
Q play. You destroy the 2-drop and you get crit, right?
On my opponent's turn?
Is that what happened?
Yeah, on my opponent's turn, my leader has crit. Yeah, of course. No, but it's cool.
Oh, no, wait. There's something else that triggers.
I'll show you. That's
okay. I was like, dude, there was something. I know it was something.
Some spice. Now, probably a very good card in this format is this broken Artificial Impact. All right, so... let me read this card perfectly to you. You can activate its active battle in your hand without paying its energy cost. Kind of cool. So instead of paying 3, you can activate its active battle. But its active main, if your leader is green, which Android 13 is, choose one of your opponent's battle card, ignoring barrier, KO it. Then your opponent then choose 1 card in your opponent's hand. I get to pick. I didn't know you get to pick. I just read that.
Those magical fingers get in there.
Bro, we're doing some flicks. You go to the drop area. So it's amazing because your leader, you already destroyed something, so you're going to get critical. But the fact that you also go with the theme of discarding a card, fantastic. And then active battle is you can choose your leader or battle card, give it 5k. So this is kind of like an imaginary 5k battle card. Usually too much extra cards in your deck is pretty bad because you can't defend, but this card lets you defend, which makes it huge, so you can definitely play 4 of. So if it's not good in any situation, where I don't know how it can't be, it ignores barrier, you can charge it or use it as a 5k. I think probably one of the best decks is Invoke, and if you check off Patreon, I go against an Invoke matchup, and this card puts in so much work.
Spoiler alert!
Where the Vegeta that has barrier, this ignores barrier and gets rid of the creature with Invoke, so fantastic card.
And every color has one of these guys, by the way. So in this new set, but not as good. Yeah, some of them like 2 minus 25Ks, and then the other ones like if it's unrest to kill it and negate the effect. Yeah, there's a lot of different ones. But this one discards card, so it's in theme.
It's really good, and also the green one warps. So in some situations that's good, but so far this one and the 2 minus 30 are to me like the best one.
Cease to exist.
Yes. Next, we have 3 Android 20s. We do need certain Androids in our hands, so for 2-drop, I know a lot of people don't want to spend 2, but to tutor what you desperately need, it's a solid 2-drop 3 of these. Next is probably one of Android 13's best card is this one. It counts as 14 and 15 in the drop area. Awesome. But you need 2 to, like, let's say awaken. If you can't just have 1 based on Bandai ruling, because that's a ruling. You need 2. They'll both count as 14 and 15. So this one's going to count as 14. This one counts as 15. Awesome. And you can awaken. Yay. But this card is just great because it's either 14 or 15. Also, you get to discard it to draw a card. So if you want to cycle, dig for something deep, you just use this, discard, draw 1 card.
Good old Upstart Goblin.
For super combos, I run Android 18. When you super combo, it doesn't matter what your life is. Your opponent chooses a card from the hand and puts it in the bottom of the deck. If it discarded, it will be so much better, but you gotta put balance.
Especially in this deck, yeah.
You gotta put balance, because if it discarded, you can actually try to trigger this. But if you swing with no crit and you combo this, they put a card in the bottom. Even with battle card, doesn't matter. It has to go to the drop area for me to get the crit.
Yep.
But still very good, because even with 6 energy, I can swing. I can do double 18 to get rid of 2 cards out of the hand. Solid.
Because the other option would be the Stout-Hearted, but that you have to be at 4 or less.
Yes, exactly. And which is not hard, though. Yeah. To be 4 or less, but you want to keep life. Life is precious.
Yes.
I found out that multicolor is kind of important, so we are playing the check land. I truly hate them, but in this deck, it is necessary. I do need yellow at times. Green's more important, so this is probably the best charge one when I can. Next is not a great card, but a necessary card. It helps you awake. It is Android 15. With this and the other card that's treated as Android 15, we have 8 15s in the deck. It's kind of important for another card. But what this guy does is when you combo with him, if your leader is green, I believe. Yep, if your leader is green, he comes into play in rest mode at the end of the combo. Kind of cool. And then you can choose 1 or 2 life, add it to your hand. Then if it's your opponent's turn, you can untap a green energy. Kind of cool, right? So the energy that we use to combo this gets untapped, and we can take up to 2 life to help us awaken. Now, mind you, you'll be at 6. Let's say turn 1, you'll be at 6. But if you don't have the 14 and 15 in the drop area, you can't awaken. I found that out in one of the games. I'm like, oh, that's right. I still need this. So remember that. It helps awaken. Mostly you play it because it is a 15. Next, we are going to play this, I want to say broken card. It lets you play your Android 13 7 drops. We run 6 of them. I'm going to show you them soon. But it's as simple as just absorbing a 15 and a 14 underneath for no cost. So it's a 3 drop and you play a 7 drop right above it. It's pretty good in certain matchups, so we definitely want to play 4 of this. Next is the best card. Best card. MVP. Best card. Love this card. I like this deck only because of this card. This is the only reason this leader is good now. Alright, so active main. If your leader is Android 13, you may choose this card and 1 Android 15. So Android 15 or Android 15. We have 8 targets for it. Choose it from your hand, place them in the drop area. So you got rid of 2 cards out of your hand. That kind of is like, oh, that kind of sucks, right? But then you can choose up to 2 cards in your life. Add them to your hand, draw 1 card. Then your opponent chooses 1 card from their hand and places it in the drop area. Now, fun fact, you don't have to grab any cards from the life area, and you'll still draw 1 card. Your opponent discards 1 card without even taking any life. So that's pretty solid. Getting rid of 2 cards out of my hand, I still draw 1 card and my opponent discards 1 card. So theoretically, with 2 cards, 2 things kind of happen. I drew a card and my opponent lost a card, so it's kind of advantage. And it puts Android cards in the drop area, but the best thing that you can do is turn 1. You can literally just get rid of 2 cards from your hand. You pick up 2 cards from life. You draw 1 card, and then when you have 6 life, the name cards that you need in the drop area, you can awaken, draw 2 more. Just with that simple combo, you drew 5 cards. And let's say you went second. So you can actually swing, you draw 1 more. That's 6 cards, your opponent lost 1. That's a huge advantage for this deck. And then your opponent is playing catch up. So, best card. Throughout the game, you actually use this multiple times. As long as you have the pieces in your hand, you're like, all right, get rid of 1 card. If they get rid of a battle card, we're going to crit them. So, this is your best friend. Next, since I'm making a mess here. Not a fan of, but it helps you play the 7 drops. We already have this guy, but if this guy doesn't work, we can't stick him on the board. We can combo this for 2, so it's like TN. Oh my god, can't believe you remember that old card. For 2, at the end of combat, he comes into play rest mode. 20k, might survive battle. But on our turn, we can play a green and a yellow and absorb a 14 and 15 from our drop area to play a 7-drop above. Clearly, we want to play the 7 drops. So that's why we pretty much go on this package. I'm not a fan of this being at 4, but truth be told, I do want to see the consistency at least to be able to bring out the 7 drops. So turn 1 and 2, you're pretty much just like stalling. Turn 3, you're trying to go for this. If you don't have this in time, we're going to defend ourselves on turn 3. And then turn 4, we're going to try to do this. The cool part about this little ability, though, is let's say your opponent has that new evoke card to get rid of, what's that card called? Invoke, the counterplay.
Royal Condemnation.
The best card ever. It gets rid of 8 and lower, so it can actually stop our 7-drop, right? So, cool play you can do is activate this. They're like, all right, counterplay. Okay, I choose no 13 to put it on top of it. You can choose, because you could choose up to 1 7-drop and put it on top. So then you can pay 2 again and be like, do you have another counterplay? No. Now you get to stick your 7-drop. So, little wacky things you can do with it. It's nice to know the rules. And then we're going straight to our 7-drops. We run 3 of this big drop and 3 of this big drop. All right, so this card is actually pretty solid. It's double strike most of the time, depending how that matchup is. If you can control your opponent's hand, you don't want to swing with double strike because they get 2 free cards, but you kind of want to put pressure. You got to determine the matchups. But his auto, when it comes into play, destroy 1 battle card. Doesn't ignore barrier, because barrier wasn't back then, but you get to destroy 1 battle card. His auto, though, is what makes him super good, is when a battle card is placed in the drop area by a skill. So this skill of destroying, pretty cool. Or let's say this skill of critting and we hit a battle card, cool. He triggers that your opponent has to discard a card. Now, when they discard a battle card through this effect, it doesn't count again. It doesn't do a continuous cycle. It's called balance, very important. But this card is effective most of the time. A little cool trick you can do is Shocking Death Ball on your opponent's turn. When they swing, if they have a 2-drop or lower, will negate, will pop the 2 or lower, and then his effect would trigger because the battle card went to the drop area. They have to discard a card. Kind of cool. Another little interaction to know about is also Focus Breakthrough. If you counterplay, it's a battle card going to the drop area because of this, so triggers. Pretty solid. Sadly, again, the Android 18, our super combo that we use, puts in the bottom. So that's the only time where you have to determine, it's like, do I want to do the 18 or do I want to do the other super combo, Android 16? Because they did get to discard, but you have to be at 4 life, so it's debatable. Next, it's this solid card. This card, man, it's difficult because the card is amazing and then sometimes the card is just whatever. It's a 7-drop with Successors. Successors are pretty good, only for a green and a yellow. But his active main once per turn, so every turn you can do this, which makes him really good. You can choose 3 androids from your drop area. You have to have 3. Put them in the bottom of the deck in any order. Then you can choose one of your opponent's battle cards in rest mode. Sadly, they have the yellow weak ability of rest mode. Destroy it, and your opponent discards 2 cards. Even if they don't have something in rest mode to destroy, your opponent's still going to have to discard 2 cards. So, very beneficial. As simple as turn 3, you pretty much are going to be using this guy's ability as much as possible to get stuff in the graveyard. You're awakened, all right, that's 2. This is a thing to union absorb, all right. So the only problem that is, early game, we don't have that much androids in the drop area most of the time. So kind of difficult to use his ability. That's why we also play the 7-drop to just start getting something going. But later on in the game, let's say mid-late game, let's say this sticks on the board. Cool, you played 3, played this, bring this out, use his effect once per turn, put 3 in the bottom. Okay, cool. Discard 2 cards, your opponent's like, I don't care. Then you pay 2. A green and yellow successor, another copy. When you successor, all this goes in the graveyard. You can activate the ability again to put 3 in the bottom, discard 2 cards. Pretty solid. Because of this, I don't want to play Toa. Toa is amazing with this leader because Toa gives this 5k plus discard a card. If it's a battle card, he'll get crit. Oh my god, incredible. Problem is you mess up your graveyard. When you mess up your graveyard, you mess up the ability of sparking. And you mess up this whole theme that we're trying to go with. Toa, I believe, is in a deck without Android 13. You can literally play Android 13 leader with nothing but 14s and 15s and a bunch of cards that make your opponent discard. Cool, and that gimmick is awesome. Problem is, if your opponent can recover after you blew so much trying to discard, then it becomes lackluster. You're kind of not doing anything. So with the Android 13 lineup of the 7 drops, they give you more late game, mid to late game presence. So that's very important for me. As you guys know, I'm kind of like a control player. So yeah, I have the discard theme. I can discard you. But if you're recovering, then these guys are going to help me finish you off. And you do need deck removal. So removal, and rest mode, sadly. And then best card, removal. Almost in anything outside of indestructible. But yeah, this is my deck profile. Big fan of this guy. Kind of contradicting because I made Boo. Oh my God, we don't care about our hand. And then I made this. So they can never go against each other. But I do...
That would be a fun battle series.
Right? It'd be fun. But the battle series in Patreon is this versus what I think is probably the best deck. Don't be mad. Don't write a bunch of comments there. It's not the best deck. I think it is. It's my personal opinion. It's my favorite play style. It's control. And these two go at it. If I didn't make a misplay in the end, spoiler alert, kind of messed up. But this guy was going to win. So kind of cool. Check it out. And thank you for joining me.
All right, thank you, Pete. Till next time.